Monica Lewinsky speaks, and one aspiring GOP politician is looking somewhere over the rainbow for this week's Underwood Award. I'm John Phillips, and this is After Hours. And here we are in Leo Terrell's spacious living room. It's now time on After Hours to pick someone who's the worst of the worst and deserves to be elevated to the level of our favorite rotten, evil, dastardly, scheming villain, House of Cards' own Francis J. Underwood.
Everyone is fair game now, and the butchery begins.
Or maybe this week it should be the Claire Underwood Award. Our winner this week is a North Carolina State Senate candidate and master of disguise, performing under the name Miss Mona Sinclair in a drag show at a gay bar. For years, he was a fixture on the local transvestite social scene. But eventually, things went south. With him and the other lady boys. And in fact, he was permanently expelled by the Miss Gay America pageant system for conduct unbecoming a promoter. Exactly what that means, we're not sure. Maybe he used someone else's eyeliner without asking, or possibly even their lipstick. So what did this shady lady do? She decided to sashay her way into politics as a Christian conservative, running on a platform of family values in opposition to gay marriage. That's a cherry on top of a sundae, isn't it? When confronted with his padded bra past, our winner took the high road and denied everything. "You've got the wrong girl," he said. Well, maybe he didn't say that. When confronted with overwhelming evidence, he finally said dressing in drag is just not something he wanted to continue. After all, politics is a bigger stage with better makeup and less waxing. Yes, today's Underwood Award winner is Miss Mona Sinclair, a.k.a. North Carolina State Senate candidate Steve Wiles. You've come a long way, baby. Or I guess I should say lady.
Well, you could win $100,000 on RuPaul's Drag Race. That's another option.
What do you think of the eye shade there?
Bad.
Very bad.
I mean, I'm not exactly a fashion plate, but even I know not to do that. And it's any self-respecting drag queen would never do it either.
The only reason this is coming out at all is because he doesn't have what's perceived to be the right position on gay marriage. If he was actually in favor of gay marriage, this information wouldn't be available at all.
Good point. That's
Maybe.
true. Yeah.
I think it still would be. I think North Carolina, look, even a woman who's got her eyebrows that thin and painted on is going to freak people out. I mean, look, I'm sorry.
That looks like my
Bigger hair
bus
than
driver
Kay
in
Bailey
elementary
Hutchinson
school.
there.
I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Scott Ott, fan of show tunes. All right, speaking of blasts from the past, for the first time since her Oval Office escapade gripped the country, Monica Lewinsky, who's now, by the way, 40. How strange is that? She's a 40-year-old. She's decided
Stop saying it like that, mister.
I wish I was 40.
Look, listen to that.
It just seems bizarre that she's 40
Kids
years
these
old at
days.
this point.
It will
40.
happen to you too, young man.
The
like a
intern is
child.
40. Well, anyway, she's decided to tell her side of the story in Vanity Fair magazine. In her essay, Monica says she fought off suicidal thoughts after the 1998 scandal. And thanks to the Drudge Report, she was the first person whose global humiliation was driven by the internet. She also turned down job offers for $10 million because they would have required her to trade in on her infamy, claims that the Clintons never paid her off. She also admits to purposely remaining reclusive during Hillary's 2008 campaign, but says she's not going to stay that way forever. She also blames the Clintons for scapegoating her so that they could remain in the White House. To say the least, Monica gave us a mouthful.
Oh, stop it.
That's an unfortunate phraseology, but
Oh.
Scott Ott wrote it, so I have to read it. What does that exactly mean? For a party that constantly crows about a war on women, is it fair that this woman's life is clearly still in shambles while Bill Clinton is enjoying sky-high approval ratings and Hillary is preparing to run for the presidency? And how about the political timing of the article? I'm a believer that there are few coincidences when it comes to dealing with people as cutthroat and calculating as the Clintons. This story broke not only before the first votes were cast in Iowa, but before the midterm elections. I seriously doubt that this just happened that way. Hillary hopes the story will be buried so deep and remote that it ends up somewhere in the concrete at the Meadowlands near Jimmy Hoffa.
Or in Benghazi, Libya.
That's also a possibility. Here to kick this around is the After Hours panel. She's the host of the Tammy Bruce radio show, which you can get online at tammybruce.com, Tammy Bruce. He's a fair-minded civil rights defense attorney, which you can get at clearthecourt.com, Mr. Leo Terrell. And he's the PJTV contributor from his home studio in the great state of Pennsylvania, whose political satire books are available at amazon.com, Mr. Scott Ott. Tammy, we'll start with you on this because you just wrote a column about this
Yes.
for the Washington Times.
Yes, I did.
Talk to me about the timing here. I'm a believer, and I might be a little bit conspiratorial about this. I think there's nothing coincidental about the Clintons. I think that everything that they do is cold and calculating and planned.
It's one of the first things I think everybody thought about, and then Lynn Cheney verbalized on Fox as well. And it's pretty obvious that the Vanity Fair, even if the Clintons didn't know about it, Vanity Fair would only do something that they thought would be helpful. One thing Monica does do in her essay is say, look, this was completely consensual between me and Bill, to eradicate, I guess, any kind of concern. And maybe this is what Vanity Fair cared about, was the nature of how Bill was perceived still. But clearly they believe, just like, frankly, they believed with every other disaster in their lives, that they can bury it, they can push it away. And as we're seeing in today's political environment, maybe you're not able to push away everything, and maybe the media constantly covering for you. I mean, they're the palace guard now, the media, when it comes to the Democrats. That maybe that won't be enough, especially in the internet age, when we're all able to have these conversations and all able to at least make sure the average listener and reader realizes that there's a political framework that happens under an event like this.
I have a hypothetical for you, Leo. Let's suppose that Monica Lewinsky decides to hire fair-minded legal representation. She goes to the fair-minded civil rights defense attorney, Leo Terrell.
Could that be? Okay.
And she says, Hillary Clinton's running for president. I'm now 40 years old, 43 years old at that time. What do I do during the campaign? Do I stay quiet? Do I go out on television and do I talk about the race? Do I get a reality show? What do I do?
First question I ask her is how much money you want to make, because if depending on how much money she wants to make, would advise her. I would advise her where to go, because let's face it, she controls what she wants to do in 2016. As far as she can hurt Hillary, she can literally hurt Hillary. The fact that she admitted to a agreed upon sexual act with President Clinton, and then on the other hand, cut him down by saying he took advantage of me because he's the boss. Hey, she controls how this story plays in 2016. Not Vanity Fair, not Rush, or not anyone. It's Monica Lewinsky.
Scott, there are people who are famous right now just because they have a sex tape. I mean, who would be talking about Paris Hilton if it weren't for the sex tape? And some of the Kardashians and others have also been able to parlay that into celebrity. Looking back at what Monica Lewinsky did with the president, especially at the young age that she was, it's relatively minor compared to what we've seen recently with people that don't seem to have that scarlet letter. Do you think when you put what Monica did in perspective to what's going on now, it doesn't look like as big a deal as it did in the 90s?
What Monica did? What Monica did? I mean, you know, if Bill Clinton had worked with any company in America, I mean, how many times have I worked for a company where they put us through sexual harassment training, and over and over and over, the trainer says the superior cannot have a relationship like this with a subordinate without it being considered sexual harassment because of the, the power balance. And so now, he would have been fired. Bill Clinton would have been fired from any company in America for sexual harassment. I don't care if she says it was consensual. Under the rules that have been drilled into us about sexual harassment, she cannot give consent because he's the boss. He's the guy with the power. He's the big guy. And so, well, maybe not the big guy, but he's the guy with the power. And they have twisted this story. I mean, the feminists should be on this like white on rice. They should be all over this saying, you know what? I don't want Bill Clinton anywhere near the White House ever again. He's the worst example possible of a sexual harasser.
And one follow-up to what he just said, Bill Clinton lost his bar license, his law license. He can't practice law, but yet he's able to remain on this high level of popularity throughout the country.
Talk to me about the politics of this, because one of the things that the Democrats have been doing recently, particularly when you had the Todd Akin race and the Richard Murdoch race, is they say that Republicans are waging a war on women. Are the Democrats going to be able to do that with a straight face if this is the guy that they're marching out to Iowa and South Carolina and New Hampshire, along with his wife, Hillary Clinton, who's running for office?
You know, look, clearly the Clintons defined a war on women. I mean, they own this. This is the thing that they created. Yes. And it's not just Bill Clinton. It's Ted Kennedy. It's John Edwards. It is Bill Clinton, and it's Hillary Clinton. And this, again, is key. I hope Lewinsky makes a point of highlighting the fact that this woman is a bully and a misogynist. That you don't have to be a man to be enacting a war on women. You can be a woman and be enabling it, in addition to the women in the media who have been going after Monica after this article, telling her to shut up, and that, you know, kind of what they say is slut-shaming her and having it be her problem, and that she just needs to go away and she's looking for attention. It's a remarkable thing to see that the women in the media are willing to facilitate this. So they could march Bill Clinton out all they want. It's going to be up to the Republicans and to everybody else to say, wait a minute, this is not okay. And we do have the ability to help reshape this and take it out of the hands of their media sycophants. And
Rand Paul's really the first one that started to use this as an issue.
He's using it as an issue, but it's going nowhere with the Democratic base. I mean, the Democrats are really a party of hypocrisy on this issue with Monica Lewinsky. It's a sexual harassment issue, and yet the Democrat leadership, the lawyers, everyone on the left has to ignore it because it hurts their candidate.
Monica Lewinsky may not be the only person, Scott Ott, who is brought back on the front page of the newspaper from the 1990s. Do you expect to see Kathleen Willey or Jennifer Flowers or maybe even Juanita Broaddrick to be back and to give their take on the 2016 presidential election if Hillary's the nominee?
You know, I have mixed feelings about this, because on the one hand, you say, well, we shouldn't hold Hillary accountable for Bill's behavior. On the other hand, the silence of the Secretary of State for, you know, the senator and the would-be president on this issue of what this really means is stunning. I mean, you can still love your husband. You can still even stay with your husband, but you need to speak truth in this situation, and she has failed to do it. And by the way, my theory about why this Vanity Fair piece was done was simply to get that photograph making Monica look like she's lounging in a bordello. I mean, look at that. Look at that sofa.
Well, you think if Monica got to pick,
yeah, nobody will read the article.
And where the picture was taken, her feet would be on the floor.
But I have to say to Scott, though, of course we should blame Hillary. They were a team in every. She is the one. Hillary is the one who helped participate and helped define the smearing of this 22-year-old intern. Of course, she's part of the problem.
But you have to define a team. A political team, I agree. But she's also a wife and a mother, and she'll play as a victim if they bring up this past.
All right. Here's the question. My guess is that Bill Clinton has been doing some of these same things since the Clintons have left office.
Of course.
There's been rumors in some of the tabloids about other women.
Yeah.
And the supposition is that the Clintons have an open marriage.
Sure.
That Bill Clinton can do whatever he wants to do on the side as long as it's not publicly embarrassing to Hillary. If more women come forward and we learn that Bill Clinton has not been faithful to his wife in recent years, do you think the American public is willing to accept, in this day and age, an open marriage in the White House?
Now, you know, if we did not have what they did in the White House, because that endangered the country, because it distracted everyone, it put the President of the United States in a position of being able to be blackmailed, possibly.
But that's if there's deceit.
That's right.
If it's an open marriage and he's not being deceitful,
but even still, it's about imagery as the President and the First Lady. Americans are tired of being lied to. Then you've got Benghazi, and you've got this tendency to just lie all the time. And besides, I mean, it's one thing about an open marriage. This is about character. And about virtue, ultimately, which the founding fathers actually thought might be necessary in order to be able to run the country
But this attack
properly.
on marriage and cheating on the wives, you know, the Democrats don't have the exclusive stranglehold on that. David Vitter, Louisiana, he got reelected. I mean, it's just amazing how people can forgive and excuse private life of politicians.
But it's character.
But there's,
we want to elevate them to the
but there's
president.
a difference,
Leo,
though, between isolated incidents or one or two things that have come forward and saying, look, we have an understanding, we have an open marriage. I could see them on the couch on 60 Minutes saying, we have an open marriage. Scott, you're in the heartland of the country. You're in Pennsylvania. Will your neighbors accept a marriage that's open in the White House and openly so?
No, they won't. And worse yet, but that's not even the big issue. The big issue here, you know, that famous quote where Bill Clinton said, you know, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky, and I never lied or asked anybody else to lie. Well, we know he lied about the first thing. So how many other people did he ask to lie? And was his cadre of liars inclusive of his wife? I mean, these are important questions that get to the honesty of the person that we're going to have in the White House. But that's really the big question. I mean, you can excuse a sexual dalliance, but maybe not a series of sexual dalliances. But to have somebody who can look in the camera, wag his finger, and say, "I didn't lie to you, and I didn't ask anybody else to lie," and we know he's lying.
Just for clarity, Bill's not running. It's Hillary, and Hillary has not cheated on her relationship.
Oh, they're running as a team.
Okay, we no longer get two for the price of one.
That's a Republican argument. But I'm saying that Hillary is running, and I just think that she will come off as a victim if this is played out, if Bill is a bad boy.
Who's more Machiavellian, him or her?
I think she is. She's also more to the left than he is. He wanted to have a good time, and they actually, Bill Clinton and Al Gore, did a decent job in the White House. I mean, he wanted to govern. This is a woman, however, who's attached her train to somebody else because she doesn't think she can do it on her own, and that takes a lot more planning and a lot more lying in order to pull it off.
I got news for you. I thought she did a very good job in the Senate, and she was well liked by her Republican colleagues.
What did she accomplish in the Senate? Like, what did she accomplish as Secretary of State?
Well, I think...
He doesn't know.
She's a likable person.
She burned a lot of jet fuel. She certainly burned a lot of jet fuel. She was away from home practically every night of her time in the office of Secretary of State.
If they want to undermine her 2016 campaign...
She's responsible personally for global warming, I think.
Attack her on Benghazi, but don't attack the relationship. That's a 1998 story.
All right, Leo Terrell, you get the last word.
Yay!
Fair-minded civil rights defense attorney. You can get him online at clearthecourt.com. Sitting right next to him is Tammy Bruce. You can read her column on this.
That's right.
This week it's out. The Washington Times website, WashingtonTimes.com, or if you're in the district, buy a copy of the paper.
I use the words bully and misogynist. Surprise.
Hey, I thought I got the last word. She just took it from me.
That's right.
And don't forget Scott Ott.
Oops.
From his home studio in the great state of Pennsylvania. You can buy his books at Amazon.com. Hey, they'd make great Mother's Day gifts, wouldn't they, Scott?
Yeah.
That's right.
And you can comment on today's show in the comment section below. For After Hours, I'm John Phillips. Thanks for watching.